Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is Asim and today I'm back with another video in the Android pen testing series. I know it's been quite some time that I made a video on that and a lot of people have been asking me to hey please continue that series, and today I'm back with one of those. So today we'll be talking about intent redirection and how an attacker would get access to some of the protected components of your app. There are very severe implications of that. No, I'm not gonna go into the very depth of those, but some of those things that I'm gonna tell you that these could be used to access, like by chaining a few other bugs and a few other misconfigurations. These attacks could be used to leverage, like to steal contacts and sensitive files like prefs.xml or maybe cookies.db as well, like the files that contains all the cookies of that particular application. So let's say if this bug was there in the Facebook Android application, then an attacker could create a malicious Android application and access the Facebook's cookies.db, basically getting all your access tokens and credentials to log into Facebook or access Facebook as you or as the victim. So I won't be showing those implications. I would be just showing a very benign use of it, and then I would also redirect you to the other resources where you can look into the depth of these. So yeah, that's for some other video where I would try to go into deep of these. Also, if you are new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe and share the channel. If you have not seen the previous video where I was live with Avinash Jain, aka logicbomb_1, so he shared some very deep insights around the job market and cybersecurity market, especially in India. It's very insightful for people who are starting into cybersecurity or who want to like have a career path into cybersecurity. So I have also mentioned all the questions that he answered into the description of the video, so you can go and check that out. With that said, let's start the video. So here I'm back with this InsecureShop app. This is the vulnerable application we have been using throughout our Android pen testing series. The link is this. I would add the link in the description as to where you can get this doc page. I've also shown in the previous video where you can download this Android application. I mean, it's easily available. You can just search about it. So I have this application here. If you come and so here's the InsecureShop APK. I use JDX GUI. So JDX is Java Android decompiler. So it decompiles and shows the like Java code. So by default, Android applications are packaged and then it's dex compiled. So it's you cannot, it's not human readable code. What it does is it breaks down into like machine readable code to back to some form of Java so that you can read into that. Like it's actually Java code. If that's not obfuscated, it would, as it is, reverse it to the Java code. So we have been looking into Android manifest.xml in the past few videos as well, and the same goes for this. So if you have depth knowledge of what the manifest.xml contains, you would easily understand these things, and a lot of bugs you can easily like figure out from this just the manifest.xml file, because most of the misconfigurations start from here itself. So today we are going to look at this WebView activity 2. Let me open this. You can press Ctrl and click on that, then it would open the actual page where it's there. Or if you don't know how you can find that, what you can do is you can just see the path com.insecureshop.webview2 activity. So go to this left thing here and then InsecureShop and then WebView2 activity would be this one. So yeah, this is there. So we'll be looking into this. Here you can see there's this intent filter, com_insecureshop.action.webview, then the default and browsable. So I've talked about these intent category and like intent filter in the previous video. If you have not checked that out, make sure you do that. There you would understand why these are important and what do they mean. So in short, it just means that like this activity is able to handle an intent of this kind of thing. It's basically a web URL things, so it can handle those. If you go to this, it's just there's a user agent string here, Mozilla 5.0. Then we would go to the onCreate function. I've talked about this lifecycle events in the previous videos as well. So onCreate is like the first event that happens. I've shown the previous video view of lifecycle event as well. I would add a image here also. So if you go to this onCreate thing, you would see that there are a few things going on here, like it's setting the title and then extra things. So here is what's interesting, the intent part. So here it's trying to there's a variable extra intent whose value is get intent dot get parsable extra intent. So what this means is like you don't need to understand everything, but what it 10,000 feet view, what it means is that it's trying to get an intent. If an intent was passed to this activity with the name extra intent, then it's trying to get that intent. Get parsable extra is that part, and storing it into extra intent. If extra intent is not null, then it would just start that activity. There is no check involved here. That's very important. There is no check involved here. So if we go and see that any private activity that's not like accessible throughout, like let's say this com.InsecureShop.private activity and Android exported equal to false. So exported equal to false means other applications cannot call this activity directly, whereas Android exported equal to true means this activity can be called directly by other applications as well. So we try to open this private activity thing using through WebView 2 activities this bug. We would be passing this extra intent variable, and that variable would contain the value of this com.InsecureShop.private activity, and then we would see like what this private activity contains. And if you go to the private activity, you see that it's again a web view. There's onCreate function. It's again a web view of some kind. If data is null, the data is this webview.load URL data. So let's see how we are getting this data value here. Set support WebView, find WebView. Where is this data coming from? Yeah. So string data, get intent, get string extra URL. So it's again trying to get an intent. So this private activity, an intent is being passed to private activity. In that intent, there is a URL variable. In that variable, whatever URL is being passed, it's being stored into data. So I would be sending my own website, asimshre.in. I'd be passing that as a URL parameter to this, and then it would try to load that URL into the private activities web view. You might think that it's a very benign thing, that loading a web page, what harm could it be, right? But see, this is a private activity, so probably it's meant to handle some sensitive URL, sensitive things. Moreover, private activity could have like the web view which is being instantiated here, because it's a private activity, so the developers think that it's safe to perform JavaScript or enable JavaScript onto this and enable JavaScript bridge onto this private activities web view. So enabling JavaScript bridge and enabling this a few functions which is possible on the JavaScript bridge, what would happen is that because the developers they enable this JavaScript bridge so that they can access this let's say some functionalities of the app, let's say get access token or get cookie or get authorization header. So let's say there is a function called get authorization header. So if they have enabled this JavaScript bridge and that function is on this JavaScript bridge, so what would happen is if any URL that's loaded into the web view of private activity, that URL can access using that JavaScript bridge, can call that function get authorization token, and then they can get the authorization token. So as a developer, for me, because it's a private activity, so I believe that it's a secure one. And since it's a secure one and I have to do some sensitive and work on that, let's say I'm loading my checkout page, or let's say I'm loading the payments page, right? So on the payments page, maybe I require some user information, like let's say email or phone number, and that's why I've created these functionalities like get email or get phone number, and I have enabled JavaScript bridge. That's a valid functionality to enable. But I didn't have this in mind that okay, this private activity could be called through a third-party activity, which is a web, not a third-party activity, but another activity which has a bug into it. So this start activity is the bug, and due to this, I'm able to call this private activity. And if that private activity has the JavaScript bridge enabled or had some functionality which is sensitive and shouldn't be exposed to the world, then as an attacker, I can access those things. It could be a lot to grasp. Just wait for a while. I'll just show you a demo how that's gonna be. Let me just attach my mobile phone, my testing phone actually. So let me just show this Android Studio. There's this Android Studio code. This is the only code that's required. There's a main activity and in the onCreate function. And before I start, this is a code that I had to like gobble pieces of things. I don't know Java a lot, and it was very difficult for me to just come up with this small snippet. Gaurang Bhatnagar, who is like the creator of this InsecureShop app, he helped me a lot throughout the process. Go and check out his Twitter profile. He posts a lot of good things. Follow him. There's a video of him on Source ZeroCon deep dive into Android static analysis and exploitation. It's a very good one, and if you're really interested into Android security, make sure you like deep dive into and go to this video and check that out. That's a very good one. He has a lot of knowledge. He helped me throughout the process, hand-holding me and just telling me like this is the one, this you have to follow this and this and this, because I'm not very good at Android pen testing. I'm just learning. I'm still learning. I'm trying to ping people to, hey, please help me out on this and on that. And I found that this guy is someone who has a lot of knowledge, and this video and the InsecureShop app is something that I believe would definitely up my Android pen testing skills. So that's why I'm following this very seriously, and I would suggest anyone who is trying to get into Android pen testing and is serious about it, do make sure to check this InsecureShop app and then try to like practice as many challenges, as many like assignments here as you can. Ping me or ping Gaurang, like I think he would be also happy to help you out. There's this blog as well, oversecured.com, Android access to app protected components. This is a really helpful one. The snippets that I've chosen, like these one, this is directly taken from here, and I've just wait a minute, I've just added it here. So the exact scenario that's mentioned in this blog, that's something even like a lot of more is mentioned here, but a part of it is what we are trying to exploit in this particular assignment. So let me walk you through the code. So this is by default, like these part you can just ignore. There's this extra where I've tried to create an intent, the very first thing. Then I've put into that extra.set class name com.InsecureShop for the package name, then the class name. The class name is com.InsecureShop.private activity. Extra.put extra URL, because URL is the intent value that's required here. Like if you go to private activity, get string extra URL. So this is what would be required. So I'm just passing on my website. Then I've created another val intent. So this was the extra intent, and then there's another intent. I've set the class name to com.InsecureShop package name, and the WebView2 activity is the second activity on which this intent would be passed. Intent.put extra the variable name is extra intent, and then extra contains this another intent. So there's one intent. That intent contains a key called extra intent. In that, this whole private activity intent is being passed, and the private activity intent contains another extra parameter which is called URL. Inside that is my my URL, my website URL. The attacker would definitely have their own controlled URL, or they also may have this content URLs and other kinds of schemes, file URL schemes, so that's to speed data, but that's beyond the scope of this particular video. I'll talk about that later on. So now you can see that Zook Z2 Plus, this is my mobile phone, this is already connected. So as soon as I just click on this run button and I try to run this application, it would open this my website asimshare.in into the private activity of this InsecureShop app. So let me just first start screen share CPUI so that you are able to see the screen. Cool. Let me run this. So I've just click on the run. It's building the project. It will take some time, and it will just open it up here. So see, that's because the internet is not working, but you can see the web page at HCL could not be loaded because name not resolved. If I just switch on the Wi-Fi here, it should be, and you can see this is InsecureShop app. Let me just let me see if internet is working fine. Yeah, internet is working fine. Let me just try to do again, and it should load my site. So see, yep. So that's pretty much it. It's not a very hard thing. It's just that you need to understand to read the Android manifest.xml and try to figure out what all could be done. So I went to this. So let's recap. So first you go to this WebView2 activity. Here, just looking at this, you cannot understand what's going on, if there is some bug or not. I went to this WebView2 activity. Here I found that there was this intent parameter, it contained an extra intent keyword. So it's like a JSON where you have key value pairs. So extra intent, in that, then like it was being stored into a variable called extra intent. If extra intent was not null, it was being called, start activity was being called, and because start activity was not checking anything, there was no check before it. So you can basically, you got a, like there's a bug here that I could start any activity of the application. So now I went on to find any private activity or any activity that is sensitive enough. So I just picked one of these. You could obviously go and scan the manifest and find some sensitive activity. I found that there's a activity with the name so these are activities, com.InsecureShop.private activity. I just went on to this class and saw that what all could be exploited here. I found that it was using URL as a get string extra in that get intent thing. So basically I need to pass another intent into this with a keyword URL. Inside that, whatever data would be there, it would just load that into the web view. So that is basically it. And if you see here, settings that set JavaScript enabled. So basically JavaScript is enabled. So if I would have loaded a malicious web page onto this, I would show that in a further video. Then you could basically use the JavaScript bridge to steal some other things, or you could just do accesses and other kinds of stuff. So yeah, that's it pretty much for this video. Hope you enjoyed this. If you're liking this, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Share this video to as many people as you think would be getting benefit out of it. Thank you. Have a nice day.